Hey, bro, one of the bros didn't roll, but I rolled.
Holy
We're looking for Jen Shah.
She just left.
Someone that we're friends with is in big trouble.
Real Housewives star charged in massive fraud money laundering scheme.
It was devastating.
I think Meredith might know something.
I don't think I know who she is.
They have a lot of evidence to go after somebody.
Chris, can you hear us?
Loud and clear.
He said, yes, bitch. That's what he said.
Your Real Housewives of Salt Lake City after show starts now.
Chris, can you hear us?
Loud and clear.
He said, yes, bitch.
That's what I said.
That's what he said.
Let's get started. Thank you so much for joining us for the after show today, Jen. We've got a lot to talk about this season.
Okay.
You know, sometimes it won't be easy. We do have a lot of questions for you about everything that unravels and what happened. But one thing we do know is that you got a sudden phone call.
Yes.
And it was explosive for everybody.
I need to go to the house? Okay. Hold on 1 second.
Hey, bro, one of the bros didn't roll, but I rolled.
I mean, her whole persona, demeanor, everything changed as soon as she got that phone call. It was like she went from being like happy Jen to like she just saw a ghost and got off the van.
I mean, I could feel Jen's energy, just like she was concerned.
For me, like if that were John, I would have been off the bus at the hospital like immediately. I was like, you need to go like 100%.
I was worried. I wasn't sure it was true, but I was worried.
There was a little part of me that was like, did Jen get an alternate mode of transportation to Vail? Like, there was a little part of me that was like, does she have a jet at the Jet Center, which is like not far from where we were? And I'm like, and why isn't she inviting me?
You know, we were just worried about Jen and we were worried about Sharif. And we didn't want to be friends and just like go to Vail while she's, you know, in the hospital at her husband's bedside. And then like Grand Theft Auto swarmed the party bus.
We're looking for Jen Shah.
She just left.
What is the first thought that's going on in your head when you see that?
strippers. I was 100% certain Jen was pulling a prank.
And we knew they were strippers because they were co-ed and they were hot. And so it was like hot guys and hot women. And Whitney was moving the bag so they'd have a place to dance.
Lisa, what's going through your head when you see the FBI outside?
What did Heather do? Like, we were at Heather's place of business, and Heather looked miserably uncomfortable. Like, when the police showed up, the FBI, Homeland Security, I was watching Heather because we're at her place of business. And I'm like, why would they come for Jen here? Jen wasn't even a thought when they showed up.
Heather did make a comment, oh, they might come for me. I don't know why she did look really nervous, and especially at her work place. So therefore, Heather thought she did something wrong.
I mean, you didn't think the SWAT team had come because we're over Botoxing people. I thought that it was something to do with either a prank, something funny or something ridiculous. And then when they said, we're looking for Jen and we just want to make sure she's okay.
What's going on?
We have to just talk to her to make sure she's okay.
So I sang like a canary. I'm like, she's in a great pickup truck. Has beatbox braids and a fox fur on.
She left here. She's on the phone, and she left here. She got in the car, took her bag, and she said that her husband had internal bleeding, and she was headed straight to the hospital. And
you know what I mean? Like, I just gave her up, and she left 12 minutes ago. She barely left. Go find her.
Once Heather got off the bus to speak with them, we kind of look out the window, and I was like, they have guns. Like, they have their guns out, like, full on.
Yeah, they had full, the kind of that you go like.
I still get the chills, just thinking about, just talking about it.
Did you
I still get the
chills?
No, I have the fucking chills.
No.
Yeah, it was the craziest moment of my entire life, I think.
We all want to know what happened on that phone call and what went down when you left the van. But before we get to the bottom of that, we have a lot to unpack.
Oh.
Once you realize these agents in the parking lot were looking for Jen,
We're looking for Jen Shah.
what's going through your mind?
I kind of was worried that maybe someone was after Jen, because the way that they kept saying, we just need to make sure she's okay, she's okay.
You know that she's okay? That she left?
It was like, wow, like, did we just dodge a huge bullet? Was there an attack on Jen? Was someone after her?
Yeah, absolutely. The detective said that to me probably 5 or 6 times. Like, we're looking for Jen Shah. We need to make sure she's okay.
What's going on?
We have to just talk to make sure she's okay.
My brain immediately shifted because last year Jen had told me and a few of the other girls that there was a guy that ended up going to Rikers because he was harassing her. And when they were saying they were worried if Jen's safe, I was thinking, did this person escape? Is Jen's life in danger? Is Jen okay?
We leave Beauty Lab and Laser. We're gone maybe like 10, 15 minutes. And then that's when I got a phone call. Well, it was a New York number. I answered it and it was a detective saying, and what he said to me was, hi, this is Detective so-and-so. I just want to make sure, are you okay? I said, wait, you're from where? And he says, New York City. The first thing I said to him, is my husband okay? He's like, yes, your husband's fine. I just need to make sure you're okay. I get a text from Heather.
I'm just going to message her.
And she says, Jen, a New York detective is here and he's asking if you're here and he's asking where you are because he just needs to make sure you're okay. I didn't see the text message until after I hung up with him and looked at my phone. So now I'm thinking, okay, so because I have a restraining order against somebody in New York from years ago. So then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, maybe this person has like threatened my family's life again or my life, because why would they be saying like, are you okay? We just need to make sure you're okay. This person had made threats against my family. This person, there was already a restraining order against this person. They broke the restraining order, flew to Utah to try to physically assault me. So I'm scared because there are real physical threats that have happened that I've had to, take, legal action against, because I didn't have any information when I left other than we'll tell you when we want to talk to you, we'll tell you. And their whole concern, he kept telling me, was we want to make sure you're okay. That's why that was my thought, that's what this was about.
Meredith, in Vail, you opened up about an experience at your store involving Jen, her employee named and a green clutch.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was not actually there. I got a call from my manager and she said, I don't know what to do. There was a clutch that one of the guys who was here with Jen kept walking around the store, picking it up, putting it down, whatever. It's gone. So I was like, oh, well, that's a problem. I said to my manager, send her a text and just gently say, did you borrow it? And within 30 seconds, my manager's phone is ringing. And on the other end is and says, I'll bring the bag back tomorrow. I am not making it up.
I remember like hearing some rumors from the ladies, something about that, which is like completely ridiculous. We went to Sunday brunch on Main Street and I was with a couple people. We went into Meredith's store. I went in to support her. I think I called her, FaceTimed her. She was out of town.
The store just closed, and I had like 8 missed calls from Jen. And at that point in time, I was, already very on guard with her. But I kind of was like, well, what if something's really wrong? I better call back and see what's going on here. So I did, and she answered and she said, oh, I was calling because your store was closed and I wanted to come in. We're doing a TikTok and I was thinking I'd buy some things to put in the TikTok. And I'm like, okay, great. She said, but I got your manager to open back up. Fine. Great. No problem.
I bought a couple things in her store. I bought like a snakeskin clutch. I bought 2 of them. I bought, I don't know, like a few other things. The girl working at her store put everything in the bag. We leave, don't think anything about it. And then said he got a call from whoever the girl was that rang us up saying, oh, I think I put something in your bag that you didn't pay for or something like that. And I'm like, what is she talking about? I bought 2 purses, so I don't know if she put a third one, but it sounded to me like it was just a mistake she made by putting something in the bag that when she rang it up. And so checked it, took whatever it was back up there, and that was it.
They can't be so stupid to think that in a jewelry store we don't have security cameras. You know, if they know we know it's missing, obviously we're going to pull the footage. It shows him walking out with this clutch in his hand. It was not bagged. It was not paid for. It was literally picked up and taken out of the store.
Pull your footage up. We were in there. We bought stuff at your store. If your girl makes a mistake at the cash register and puts something in the bag, how's that our fault? And so then the next thing I hear, Meredith is accusing of like stealing something.
I know how reactive Jen is, and that if anyone makes any accusation of something being taken, I mean, we know where that will go. I don't have to get into it.
If that's the truth, bitch, call the police, call 911. If someone stole from you, call 911. Or if you think someone on my team, why wouldn't you call me? Why wouldn't you call me? Because it's bullshit. We literally were in there to support your little 200 square foot swap meet, okay? And I bought some things like I always do to support you. And like, how are you going to twist this into someone stole something?
You know, Jen had an entourage that was pretty deep, you know, ran really deep. Like she said that she had like first string, second string, third string staff, you know, that would help her. And one of her former staff had 5-finger discounted a clutch from Meredith's store. And it was a staff member that I was also familiar with that had 5-fingered some cash from my store. So he was a former employee of mine that I had to let go because Jen actually informed me that he had been taking cash tips from her on the side, not informing the management of, which is a policy at Beauty Lab. We don't accept tips. We don't accept commissions on sales. We are a very, very like bread and butter business because we're trying to like be different from all the other salesy businesses out there. And so when we found out, we confronted him and said, you know, Jen Shah told us that she's been giving you cash to make her appointments and to give her treatments, which is completely opposite of our printed company policy. And he admitted it and resigned that day. And I haven't really continued a relationship with him since then. So when I heard that he was possibly stealing a clutch from Meredith's store, it was completely consistent with what I knew this person to stand for. But that's another cog in the wheel, you know, of like Jen is employing people that she's turned into me.
I personally think that says a lot.
Says a lot.
So you ladies do head out for Vail, but everyone's minds seem to be racing trying to put together the puzzle pieces of what just happened.
I don't even understand what jurisdiction Homeland Security has, like guns?
Your mind just spins on all of the what if scenarios. But what was fascinating as we left, Chris, Lisa was like pacing the bus on the phone. She's calling her attorneys. She is calling everyone. She's freaking out. You know when she does that like, but no tears come out?
Seth and I have been separated.
I'm gonna cry.
Don't cry, because then you're gonna make me cry.
God. The SWAT team just showed up. Like, for Jen.
Like that freak out that Lisa does, she was doing that. And I just remember sitting and watching her being like, it was almost as if they were coming for her.
I talked to Tony Kay and Ryan, and they just said do not talk to any law enforcement without either one of them there.
And she kept saying, I'm calling my attorney. Same attorney as Angelina Jolie.
She said, you guys, I'm calling my security. My security's texting me. So we're all just like, what the, like, first of all, like, who has security?
Who has security in their 4,000 square foot home? Like, what the is that?
We were both very, very worried about Jen and Coach Shah and their kids. Because, like, if Coach Shah's in the hospital and Jen's visiting him, somebody needs to make sure Omar's getting to football practice, you know, and that Reefy knows what's going on. Like, we just were thinking about their families and about how to support our friend. We were not thinking about our own selves. We were not calling our 10 to 12 attorneys.
Hey, you know what? This is so weird, Ryan. Can you tell me what's going on? Would Homeland Security show up for that? I mean, like, I'm like literally shook right now. It just scared me. Like, is something bigger happening? Should I be stressed? I'm shaking. I'm physically shaking.
Well, why do you think Lisa was reacting that way? Like, what do you think that was rooted in?
Ooh. What is it usually rooted in when we project and deflect and make a big scene? It's usually some sort of guilt.
I agree.
I feel like all of my reactions were normal for me. And like, I went through all of them. There were times where I was crying.
I honestly feel so bad for them.
Then we would change the subject for a minute and feel happy.
Whose bag is that?
That's Jen. She left it. The woman just had to evade arrest. Don't be going through her personal items.
I don't think she's coming back.
No,
for
I don't
these.
think so.
I think it was a lot for us, like emotionally. I went on a roller coaster, one that I wouldn't wish on anyone. You know, it weighs on you. Someone that we're friends with is in big trouble.
Oh no, Stu, I feel so bad. I honestly feel so bad. I honestly feel so bad for them.
For me, it wasn't a stressful situation at all. I stayed very calm. I don't know all the facts. I heard one side, which is the media side. So I figure I'm gonna go get some snack.
Lollipop, anyone? Oh, I love a good lolly. that I'm in on.
I'm gonna sit here and be entertained and listen to everyone input because I wanna learn, I wanna hear, I wanna absorb it. And then I make my own judgment when I have more facts. Right now, I don't, and I still don't. What that truth is, we need to just sit and wait. We cannot just assume and then if the truth is and it backfires, we're gonna all feel like jackass.
We were all completely blindsided. This is the last thing I thought that was gonna happen that morning. Like, arguments, yes. Discord, yes. The last thing we all anticipated happening that day is Homeland Security, the FBI, and the New York Police showing up at Beauty Lab. Crazy.
When you ladies let Meredith know what happened on the van with Jen, she has an interesting reaction.
Homeland Security, the FBI, and the NYPD and SWAT.
A full SWAT team showed up at Beauty Lab.
What?
Meredith, she's been arrested for fraud.
Honestly, I'm not surprised by this.
I mean, first of all, Meredith is not surprised by anything. Meredith is a swan that glides onto the lake and keenly observes and then just glides away. You know what I mean? So that's kind of Meredith in a nutshell. She has such a conflicted history with Jen. The second someone goes after your child or hurts your child.
And then she made a comment about Brooks never seeing a vagina before.
Brooks has never seen, he's probably never seen a vagine, but my vagine is like platinum on ice, baby.
When someone's willing to cross that line, I think that you're not surprised by anything that they're willing to do.
I think there's always been a lingering question mark there. And I think it just goes to show you that when you cross a mama bear and you hurt her children, like, you better believe that the mom's gonna look into you. You know what I mean? And I think that Meredith is very smart and just she sensed something was off. And so I think when she says it makes sense, she's like, I knew there had to have been something. Nothing adds up, nothing lines up in Jen's life. Nothing makes sense.
Well, I should say, of course, I was surprised that she was arrested at that moment on that day. What I wasn't surprised about was that things just weren't adding up to me with her. I didn't understand what she did. I didn't understand her business. I don't think I know who she is. I had sort of put a lot of pieces together from the puzzle. I had caught so many different lies from her that I felt like I hadn't ever had a real conversation with her.
Meredith is really smart. And I was like, Meredith knew a lot about Jen. You know, she had mentioned a few things prior. And I'm like, how do you even know that? Because I didn't see anything. I've never been sent anything about Jen Shah. I've never seen anything on the internet. But Meredith seemed to know a little bit more about Jen than the rest of us.
She's red flagged in the system of Louis Vuitton because she pays in cash.
I told you, my mind was racing, and what if some of that is true?
I think Meredith might know something.
For me, it was, why aren't you surprised? What did you know, or what did you pull up, or have you been researching this person for a while to say, I wasn't surprised, I know this, or I expect to know this, and it's gonna happen.
I did have concerns that things weren't adding up. I did not feel like I knew who she was. And I was at a point where when I had left for Colorado, that I was, sort of like, okay, I've got a lot going on here. I have a lot of things, in my brain that I have to work through with my father, with my own grieving, my own loss. But I knew that I was not in a settled place with Jennifer and having a friendship with her. And I had thought, I'm going to address this in Vail and just kind of say, look, let's coexist, but we don't need to be friends. And that's sort of the place I was at. And then she got arrested, which just threw a wrench in that plan.
Whitney, you were the first one to see the article about Jen's arrest. What was going through your mind when you saw it?
Am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah.
Because it was the biggest holy moment.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Oh my gosh.
You never talked to me.
What?
Oh my gosh.
What?
Real Housewives star charged in massive fraud money laundering scheme.
No.
I have the f***ing chills.
No.
We're still just coming down from being numb from the federal agents on the bus.
Why are the police here?
NYPD.
Holy shit, what the f is going on?
And now we're getting an article that Jen has been arrested and indicted for money laundering and wire fraud, like conspiracy to commit.
Her and Stu were charged for laundering money and stealing people's money.
For me, I heard money laundering. I did not know the history of her business. All I know is she owns a marketing company. And Whitney has to explain the whole situation.
When you buy data, you can actually select what demographic you want.
Yes,
so they would select vulnerable people. They buy that data and sell to them fake shit.
How did Whitney know so much about this?
Get them on a subscription, get their credit card charged every month, and they can't get off of it.
And it just makes me wonder.
Yeah.
I was pretty dramatic in that moment. I'm like, fraud. Like, I didn't know what to do. It was so emotional. I market online. I sell my skincare online. So I work with marketing agencies every day. And I promise you that it's not as lucrative as what Jen's life is, like what she's living.
I don't believe everything. I need to know and see it and prove it. I know that the federal agency not just going to knock on your door for fun and say, hey, I just want to check on you, see how you're doing. No, they have a lot of evidence to go after somebody. And we have a really good system here in America, innocent until proven guilty. So stop thinking she's guilty unless we know she's guilty. So let's not jump to that conclusion just yet.
She's going to prison.
I can't even put it into words, Chris, other than holy
It was devastating. It was devastating to read it on like a national press saying that Jen and Stewart had been indicted for horrible, horrible crimes.
Jennifer, Shah, and Stuart Smith allegedly profited by generating lists of victims for targeted and directing co-conspirators to defraud them.
We know Stewart, we know his wife, we know his children, we know Jen, we know her husband, we know her children, and you think, is it true? Is it real? And holy shit.
On the way to Vail, you and the ladies start questioning everything you know about Jen.
I had a podcast with her for an hour about what she does, and I still don't get it.
I get it. It's like gray kind of business.
She buys people's information. She sells that
That's like this
information.
simplistic way of...
Yeah, but it's just lead nurturing is what it is. She gives companies leads. I have had a lot of questions around like Jen's lifestyle. Like it intrigues me of where she gets all of her money and all of her things from.
Well, I knew of Jen's history with a lot of really kind of infamous telemarketing guys and companies in Utah, because we have a lot of businesses here. The regulations are pretty loose where they do high pressure telemarketing sales, and she had worked with all of those guys. But I wasn't privy to anything about Louis Vuitton.
And then there's other red flags that I had, like she's red flagged in the system of Louis Vuitton because she pays in cash.
Like what?
Nothing at Louis Vuitton is less than $5,000. So you're coming in with just like a little bank bag.
For me, the Louis Vuitton thing, I was like, oh my gosh, that would be the worst thing that ever happened to me.
I'm flagged at our local Maverick. Eleven's flagged me because I buy all my mini fun size Three Musketeers cash only. I don't want those on the record.
Sometimes I pay for things that with cash at Louis Vuitton. And what's wrong with paying with cash? I know it's a rare form of tender.
Look, I'm in a business where we deal with commodities, and so I am always hyper aware of something like somebody paying in cash. I think that for a store, if you have a customer who is continually paying in cash, you have to start to wonder, why are they not using a credit card? And does it mean anything on its face? No, of course not. If somebody has money that is not clean money, they can't put it in a bank account, it's somehow illegally earned cash, and you buy stuff at a store, that's a really easy way to spend it. As opposed to if you put it on your credit card, you have to be able to pay the credit card statement. And that means that cash would have to be deposited into a bank account, which the banks obviously have certain requirements. There's all kinds of stuff. So paying in cash in and of itself is nothing. It just could be a red flag to other stuff.
Did you have any experiences like this with Jen when she shopped in your store?
Yes, Jen has purchased from us a few times. That was a bit of a red flag too, to be honest, because it took about an hour and, I don't know, 3 or 4 credit cards to make the sale go through. It was initially, declined, and which, had we been out of Utah, I wouldn't have really thought twice about it, because out of state, but we were in Utah, so I was like, wait, what's going on here? This is a little bit weird. And, and then shortly thereafter, I'm hearing these stories that she's paying in cash and whatever else. And so I was like, okay, these things aren't adding up. I'm not saying she's doing anything wrong. I mean, look, I paid in cash for things. Like, people pay for things in cash. Cash is not a bad thing, It only is if there's a reason why you're paying in cash. So